What happens when wrestling giants from across the globe converge for one explosive event? Welcome to Forbidden Door 2026. Hi, I'm Leah, feeling super excited today.
And I'm Garrett, ready to dig into this wild topic.
Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. Forbidden Door 2026 was a summer pay-per-view, or PPV, where four major promotions teamed up. AEW, which is All Elite Wrestling from the United States, NJPW, New Japan Pro Wrestling from Japan, CMLL, a legendary lucha libre company from Mexico, and Stardom, a premier women's wrestling promotion from Japan. They brought their rosters together for inter-promotional dream matches in June 2026 at the SAP Center in San Jose. That's pretty cool, right? On a personal note, I watched a big wrestling card at a local bar once, and, the vibe was electric. People who had never met were high-fiving, yelling at near falls, sharing fries like old friends. Forbidden Door did that at scale with official watch spots. Dave & Buster's and Tom's Watch Bar showed the event in the US. It felt like sports night energy for pro wrestling, a whole room popping in unison when someone kicks out at 2. I'm down for that.
Totally. Before we dig into the cards, let's make sure we're clear on terms. A PPV is a show you buy individually to watch live, like ordering one big event rather than subscribing to a whole season. Interpromotional just means wrestlers from different companies facing each other, which is rare because those companies are usually competitors. The 2026 edition officially added CMLL and Stardom as co-promoters for the first time. That elevated the international mix and especially spotlighted women's matches right alongside the men's. Distribution-wise, this one was broad. In the US, you could get it on traditional cable and satellite PPV, and also on HBO Max at a special subscriber rate. That's unusual. Most big wrestling shows stick to a la carte PPV only. Fans also had Prime Video, ppv.com, and YouTube as streaming options, plus, outside the US and Canada, there was My AEW. It's like they wanted to remove every hurdle between you and the live show.
Let's bounce over to the origin story. Forbidden Door kicked off in 2022 as a collaboration between AEW and NJPW. The idea was simple but bold. Build a summer showcase in June where champs and top stars meet in first-time matches you normally only see in fantasy booking threads. By 2024, CMLL and Stardom were involved on the card, and that previewed what we finally got in 2026. The two became official co-promoters alongside AEW and NJPW.
So why make them official co-promoters in 2026? What changed?
Bigger platform and better integration. Official co-promotion means shared branding, deeper talent involvement, and acknowledged presence on commentary and production. For Stardom, that meant more prominent women's stories. For CMLL, it showcased lucha libre style within the card's identity. It also makes logistics smoother, consistent rules, presentation, and clear stakes, so the card feels cohesive rather than patched together.
Key stories were built across multiple shows. AEW's weekly Dynamite and Collision carried most of the beats, and there were tie-ins from NJPW, CMLL, and Stardom. For example, Zack Sabre Jr., a British technical ace from NJPW known for submission wrestling, challenged Kenny Omega, an AEW cornerstone who blends speed, striking, and power. Sabre called out that he'd never beaten Omega in the United States, so the match became a very specific test of who was the best on U.S. soil. AEW Women's World Champion Thekla, a dynamic striker and champion coming in, called out Stardom's roster. Starlight Kid, a high-flying masked star from Stardom, answered. That set up a women's title defense that sat right alongside the tournament finals, signaling that women's stakes were top tier here.
And then there was Mark Briscoe. Briscoe is a gritty veteran fan favorite who wanted a path to MJF's AEW World Championship. MJF, for context, is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, a sharp-tongued top star who had just beaten Darby Allin at Double or Nothing to win the AEW World title. When a straight-up title challenge did not materialize, Briscoe pitched a 6-on-6 steel cage match called Death's Door. Steel cage just means a metal enclosure surrounds the ring. It's designed to keep interference out and force a decisive finish. If Briscoe's team won, he would get a future world title shot.
Triple main event time. This show was structured with 3 tentpoles. First main event, the Women's Owen Hart Cup Final. The Owen Hart Cup is AEW's annual tournament honoring the late Owen Hart. Winners earn title shots at AEW's All-In Stadium show. The women's final was Mercedes Moné versus Maya World. Moné is a global star with crisp technique and star aura. Maya World, an emerging standout, brought her own dynamic offense. The penultimate slot was Death's Door. That 6-on-6 cage with Briscoe's future title shot on the line. And the show closed with the men's Owen Hart Cup final. Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland, 2 of the most explosive performers in modern wrestling.
The stakes were clean. Owen Hart Cup winners lock in title matches at All In August 2026. Interpromotional bragging rights also mattered. Whose style wins on neutral turf? For Death's Door, rosters were loaded. Team Briscoe featured Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, the laid-back innovator, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, surgical strikers and grapplers, Konosuke Takeshita, a powerhouse technician, and Darby Allin, a fearless daredevil. Team DCMJF combined MJF with allies tied to the Don Callis orbit and others. Kevin Knight, a speedy prospect, Kyle Fletcher, a crafty tag standout, Jake Doyle, Kazuchika Okada, an NJPW-associated ace with big match pedigree, and Andrade El Idolo, a smooth all-rounder. That's a lot of firepower in one cage.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Mercedes Moné won the Women's Owen Hart Cup again, back-to-back, 2025 and 2026. That made her the first wrestler, male or female, to win the Owen twice and in consecutive years. It is a simple stat with big symbolism. Repeat excellence under tournament pressure and a guaranteed AEW Women's World title shot at All In.
Results recap. In Death's Door, Team Briscoe beat Team DCMJF, so Briscoe earned that future AEW World title match. In the closing main event, Will Ospreay, the aerial and striking phenom, defeated Swerve Strickland to win the men's Owen Hart Cup and punch his ticket to an AEW World title shot at All In. Kenny Omega topped Zack Sabre Jr., answering that U.S. challenge head-on. Jon Moxley, AEW's Brawling Iron Man, retained the AEW Continental Championship against Bandito, who brought spectacular lucha offense. Shota Umino, a rising NJPW star, retained the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship against Pac, the hybrid high flyer and bruiser. Plus, Jay White returned from a long injury layoff dating back to April 2025. That pop was loud in the building and immediately set rumor mills churning.
All of that funneled straight into AEW's summer arc. The cups now act like golden tickets into All In. You watch the brackets progress on weekly TV, Forbidden Door crowns the winners on a global stage, and then All In is where those title shots pay off. It is a narrative pipeline, 3 points on the calendar tied tightly together. And behind the scenes of the broadcast, there was a full crew. Excalibur, Walker Stewart, Nigel McGuinness, Tony Schiavone, and Don Callis rotated on commentary. Spanish commentary featured Carlos Cabrera, Alvaro Riojas, and Ariel Levy, which really fit with CMLL being in the mix. Justin Roberts, Arkady Aura, and Takuro Shibata handled ring announcing. Referees like Aubrey Edwards and Bryce Remsburg kept order. That's the scaffolding that holds a 12-match night together. Let's talk controversy. Counter-programming. WWE's NXT brand ran the Great American Bash head-to-head on the same night. Dave Meltzer, a longtime wrestling journalist who analyzes ratings, gates, and industry trends, has noted that in 2025, WWE tried counter-programming multiple AEW PPVs, and by his read, those WWE shows underperformed while AEW overperformed. The effectiveness is still debated, though. Success can mean different things depending on what metric you choose.
I'll take the view that counter-programming can help the ecosystem. Friendly friction keeps everyone sharp. If you know another big card is running, you stack your lineup, you hustle on promotion, you innovate on distribution like, HBO Max's subscriber rate or the bar partnerships. The audience then benefits. They get stronger cards, and even if they time shift one show, they still engage. Competition, when it is respectful and smart, pushes quality up across the board.
I hear that, but I lean the other way a bit. Head-to-head can split a finite live audience. If you value real-time buzz, social chatter, and that communal feeling, dividing attention can dilute it. Different metrics tell different stories. Broadcast viewership, the key demographic slice, live gates, and PPV buys do not always point in the same direction. What's telling is that TNA moved Slammiversary earlier to avoid the clash. That suggests some promotions see more value in giving fans room to watch everything rather than forcing a choice.
That's a solid point. I guess I'm looking at brand momentum over months. Stack a win here, carry heat into the next show. If the product is hot, fans will either dual screen or catch the replay. Modern viewing is flexible. Plus, Forbidden Door's wide availability, Prime Video, ppv.com, YouTube, HBO Max, gave people a lot of ways to jump in, even if another show was on at the same time.
And I'm weighing the moment-to-moment experience. Like we said earlier, those packed watch parties at places like Dave & Buster's or Tom's Watch Bar thrive on focus. One screen, one soundtrack of cheers. If the night fragments, that vibe can soften. Still, I'll grant that the rivalry energy probably nudges both companies to bring their best. Real talk, it is a trade-off either way.
Speaking of bars and big night vibes, Forbidden Door living in mainstream sports spots is pop culture in action. Wrestling sharing space with playoff games and big fights, that's a signal. People are treating these PPVs as event TV again. And the cross-promotional thing mirrors other media mashups we see in pop culture, like cinematic universes crossing streams, just with suplexes.
Let's try a what if. What if Team Briscoe had lost Death's Door? No future title shot for Mark Briscoe would reset AEW's world title picture, heading toward All In. You would still have Will Ospreay's men's Owen Hart Cup win, guaranteeing a title shot at All In, and MJF as champion coming out of Double or Nothing. Without Briscoe's earned claim, the orbit around MJF could have tightened, maybe more focus on Ospreay's path, or a new challenger sliding in for a bridge defense.
Yeah, if Briscoe missed here, I could see a redemption arc. Maybe he faces someone from Team DCMJF, say Kyle Fletcher or Andrade El Idolo, in a last chance eliminator. Or he runs a mini gauntlet, back-to-back wins to re-earn the shot. Meanwhile, the champ MJF could play mind games, especially after that earlier knee scare he had, tease vulnerability, then slam the door shut. That kind of ebb and flow builds sympathy for Briscoe and heat for MJF. This one's got legs, don't you think?
And if Briscoe had lost, you might spotlight other cross-promotional names in the world title periphery. Kazuchika Okada, with his big match history from NJPW, or even someone like Konosuke Takeshita, leveraging momentum from the cage performance. The point is, the Death's Door result gave us clarity. Without it, the summer would have felt more volatile, which is fun but less certain.
All right, that ties it up nicely. Forbidden Door 2026 blended interpromotional spectacle with clear stakes. From Mercedes Moné's historic back-to-back Owen wins to Ospreay's climb, Omega's statement over Sabre, and Briscoe carving a path to MJF.
So there we have it. Thanks for hanging with us, and catch the next one on Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.